Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the public hearing for the preliminary engineering report here on January 29th, 2025. I would ask that anyone in attendance please sign in over here next to the entrance. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Jacob for introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. What I wanted to do was outline an agenda for the wastewater expansion and collection system public hearing, and the first item on the agenda would be a presentation by Wessler Engineering and Butler, Fairman, and Seifert and Baker Tilly in part if needed. Once that presentation of the PER would occur, we would move to a public comment period. As we have done in the past, we would ask that any public comments only occur from the lectern and be limited to a reasonable period of time. All persons that speak would be asked to sign in, state their name and address for the record. Those comments are then either answered in the response period or would be addressed at a later time, but they do become part of the official record for SRF in the preliminary engineering report. Any responses or comments or questions would then be handled by Wessler or Butler, Fairman, and Seifert. We would then conclude the hearing with Wessler outlining a next steps of the process. So with that, I would ask the board to approve the agenda and rules as outlined and submitted.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jacob. If there aren't any additional comments from the board, I'd entertain a motion to accept these rules and guidelines.
I move that we accept them as presented.
Second. Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Tim to approve the rules and guidelines for tonight's preliminary engineering report. And with that, we'll turn it over to, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now we can turn it over to Wessler for their presentation of the PER.
Thank you very much. I know most of you, but if I don't, my name is Bob Holden with Wessler Engineering, and this evening I'm here to present the preliminary engineering report for the wastewater system improvements. This evening we're going to talk about the system improvements necessary to convey and treat flows from the upcoming developments within the LEAP Innovation District. These improvements include the following elements that we're going to discuss today. I'm going to discuss the wastewater treatment plant expansion, the effluent force main, and then John Leitner with Butler, Fairman, and Seifert will come and discuss the collection system improvements. First, the wastewater treatment plant expansion. In consideration of the expansion, we looked at a number of different alternatives. We looked at a no-action alternative or optimization of current facilities, at which point in time that there really isn't an option. We have more flow and we do not have the capacity to treat it. Second alternative we looked at was regionalization. And like the first alternative, there is not an option or an available regional facility to transport flow to. And the third option was a phased expansion to accommodate LEAP growth at the wastewater treatment plant, so that we build the wastewater treatment plant in increments that allows it to provide treatment for LEAP as LEAP occurs. So the ultimate plant will be built for 20 MGD and a peak of 48.3 MGD at full build out. What we're here to talk about today is phase one of this expansion. So we have come up with three phases. We go from 5 to 10 in phase one, 10 to 15 in phase two, and 15 to 20 in phase three. And that's average flow. What that looks like is that as we move across from where we are from an existing capacity perspective at 5 and 15 MGD, phase one is 10 MGD with a peak of 24.5. It would allow the utility to treat approximately 15,000 pounds per day of BOD, TSS, 420 pounds a day of phosphorus, and about 1,800 pounds a day of ammonia. As LEAP continues to grow, phase 2 and phase 3 then become relative. The initial phasing for the wastewater treatment plant consists of an alteration of the site plan that's represented here in orange versus what's in gray as far as existing. You can see that we're adding additional pumping capacity, adding additional grit, additional aeration, clarification. One of the things that we do have to do to accommodate this growth is demolish a number of facilities to accommodate the increased treatment needs. The schedule that we're operating under right now is we have submitted the PER to the IFA, to the SRF program. So today we're completing the public hearing requirements. Anticipated PER approval is in February 2025, at which point in time we'll come back to the board for formal approval of the PER. Relevant dates for this is that the project has to be substantially complete by January 2027 to fulfill the current promises that have been made by the utility. Transitioning now to the effluent force main. As part of the water agreement with citizens, there has been a balance or a request to balance water discharged from Lebanon back into a portion back into the Sugar Creek watershed with a portion going back to the Upper White River watershed. And to maintain this balance, what we've come up with is an effluent force main that will return water back into Eagle Creek that is part of the Upper White River watershed. The force main ultimately will convey an average daily flow of 15 MGD, and it can convey a peak flow of up to 25 MGD. Not all of the water, however, will go to the through the effluent force main. A portion of the water discharge from Lebanon utilities will also go to Sugar Creek or Prairie Creek, as it does now, which is part of the Sugar Creek watershed. So effectively, this project is to create the balance between the watersheds. When we were evaluating alternatives for this project, we looked at 7 different potential discharge locations and routes. We looked at these discharge locations with respect to both hydraulic capacity as well as water quality. Selection of the most suitable outfalls was based on watershed area, a Q710, which is a 7-day, 10-year low flow, the harmonic mean of the stream, as well as 10 and 100-year peak flow data. So effectively, we're looking at the hydraulics of the stream. After evaluation, there were 7 potential locations that were determined that were part of the Upper White River watershed, but only 2 were really considered feasible from the hydraulic and water quality perspective. This quickly narrowed down to 1 because one of the locations also has some downstream water quality issues. So the recommended alternative was to convey flow south from Lebanon to immediately upstream of the Eagle Creek Reservoir. Potential routing is indicated here, and again, this is potential routing. We're at the planning level, and it's a route that generally follows Indianapolis Road and Lafayette Road from Lebanon down to Eagle Creek. It's approximately a 16-mile route. Schedule for the effluent force main. Submission of the PER is in January of 2025. The public hearing is tonight. Again, anticipated PER approval in February of 2025, which we would come back in front of the board for formal approval. And then this project needs to be substantially complete, which is operational in January of 2029. With that, I'm going to turn it over to John Leitner to talk about the collection system improvements.
John Leitner with Butler, Fairman, and Seifert. I'm going to talk about the collection system improvements portion of the project that was included in the PER. One thing I wanted to note is that the collection system improvements are kind of focused on the LEAP district for this particular set of infrastructure improvements, but a little bit of clarification on the wastewater treatment plant. That expansion will be to handle both LEAP and civil district flows. So not just while this collection system improvements is more focused on the LEAP area, the wastewater treatment plant will be for both districts to serve for future growth over the coming years. As we looked at the utility needs of serving and conveying the flow from the LEAP district to the wastewater treatment plant as it's expanded, we identified a number of alternatives that we evaluated. So there was a no-action alternative, which won't work as we already have some development projects in the works in LEAP that need to convey flow to the wastewater treatment plant. We looked at, as alternative one, a large diameter gravity interceptor sewer, basically coming straight from the existing south interceptor sewer that's just upstream of the wastewater treatment plant. We ran into conflicts on the west side of the interstate where sanitary ditch crosses under the Big Four trail in a culvert and did not allow us to get as far as we wanted to by gravity. That led us looking into alternative two, which would be to place a LEAP regional lift station just to the west of sanitary ditch along the Big Four trail to pump under that issue that we had and allow us to take a large diameter gravity interceptor sewer a lot further west through LEAP to pick up more area by gravity. And then as a third alternative, we looked at the possibility of a LEAP wastewater treatment plant to serve the area rather than routing it to the expanded existing wastewater treatment plant. While that could be a viable alternative, it's far more expensive to construct a brand new plant than it is to construct collection system improvements to take it back to our existing plant. So our proposed alternative we went with is our recommending is alternative two, the LEAP regional lift station and large diameter gravity interceptor sewer. So the LEAP regional lift station is going to be designed to pump an average of 9.4 MGD. We're still working on peaking factors and trying to confirm exactly what our peak flow will be at full build out to match up with the wastewater treatment plant expansion. But this design is anticipated to satisfy the needs of the LEAP Innovation District over the next 20-year period, or basically until a new water source beyond what is contemplated in the Water Supply SRF loan program is necessary. The LEAP regional lift station will be set with a depth of around 25 to 30 feet to allow for nearly 12,500 feet of large diameter gravity interceptor sewer to be constructed along the Big Four Trail to County Road 350 West. Connections from end users to the LEAP collection system improvements contemplated with this project will be made by others. It's anticipated that branch sewers and force mains from lift stations will convey the flow from the LEAP Innovation District to the large diameter gravity interceptor sewer, leading to the LEAP regional lift station and ultimately pump to the plant. Here's a depiction of those improvements showing the LEAP regional lift station, a large diameter gravity interceptor sewer, and then likely dual force mains leading to the existing wastewater system. Had a good question from one of the board members during the open house of why we don't have a straight line along the Big Four Trail, which is an excellent question. And the reasoning being is that during the preliminary engineering report and the evaluations of environmental conflicts, we noticed a wetland and a wooded area just south of the Big Four Trail. That kind of kink in our alignment is avoiding any potential environmental issues. So the overall program costs were in the $60 million range. Program schedule, very similar timeline to the wastewater treatment plant expansion timeline with completion of the PR public hearing requirements happening today. Progressing on our procurement process starting in February with a substantial completion and initiation of operation target of January 1st, 2027. So with that, I can pass it back to Bob for any questions you may have, or the public comment period.
All All right, thank you, John. Thank you, Bob. We will move to the public comment portion of the meeting now. If the board has no other questions for John or Bob.
In that regard, is this board approving the PER today after this meeting?
No, the board is not being asked to approve the PER. That would come at sometime in February. And then, as been common practice, the board would have the PER and a resolution with that, whether, if the board chooses to approve it, there'd be an approving resolution with the PER.
So is this going to the SRF before it comes to us again?
In fact, it will be submitted, I believe, is the process that we will, we will begin answering questions and assembling a packet for that. And once that resolution is tendered, it then goes into the official filing with IFA or SRF.
Okay,
Yeah.
but final approval of the PR will return to us? The reason I'm asking these questions, I have some questions and comments I want to make regarding this, and I just want to make sure that I will have an opportunity at another time.
Any amendments to the PER, the PER itself will come back to this body for final approval.
And when's the estimated time for that?
I believe we have it targeted for mid to late February.
Thank you.
Right, any other comments from the board, questions? Well, if anyone has comments from the public, we'd ask that you approach the podium and state your name and address. Don't see anyone here for comment at the moment, so we will move on. Anything else, Mr. Jacob, that we need to address before we conclude?
Yeah, just one comment for me, and then I thought we'd let Bob walk through what the process is next. Just to confirm that there was a public information session or open house that was held immediately preceding the public hearing, and I believe that was open for almost an hour with a public appearance or comment. Bob, if you want to talk about that doesn't mean that we won't accept written or any comments. Written comments can be accepted, and what that process is next.
So written comments have been open since the filing of the PER, and we will accept those through 5 days after today, correct? So they will be open through February 3rd. As part of that, prior to the submission of the final formal packet to the SRF for their review, we will respond in writing to any comments or any written correspondence received with respect to the PER. We will then package all of the public hearing and comment notes to submit to the SRF. After that, we will respond to comments that the SRF has on the PER. And then after that final packet is complete, that's when we will come back to the Utility Service Board and have a PER acceptance resolution, which is the final determination or the final vote from the board.
All right, anyone have any other comments, questions before we close this PER public hearing? All right, then I would entertain a motion that we close the wastewater PER public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Tim and seconded by Bill that we close the PER public hearing. Any additional comments, questions?
I just want to thank all of our consultants and staff for putting on this. Oh, I should hit the button. The button's not. They can hear me. I just want to thank everyone because there's a lot of moving pieces, 2 engineering firms, a great deal of my was informed on this PER, very important project. So, thanks.
All right, thanks, Ed. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we stand adjourned tonight. Thank you, everyone.